Beloved chosen one, stop for a moment and breathe, because this message is not brushing past your life by accident. It is not random timing. It is not emotional noise. It is not just another voice rising for a second and fading by nightfall. This is the kind of moment that reaches into your path and places a hand on your shoulder before your next step lands somewhere your spirit was never meant to go. God is saying stop, and He is not saying it to shame you. He is saying it to save you. He is saying it because He sees further than you see. He knows what is waiting at the end of the road you're about to call normal. He knows what has been draining your strength, clouding your judgment, and slowly teaching your heart to tolerate what heaven has already warned you about. You have felt it, even if you have not fully named it. Something has been off. Something has been pressing against your peace. Something in your life has been asking for your agreement while your spirit keeps hesitating. You may have tried to explain it away. You may have told yourself you were just tired, just overwhelmed, just overthinking, just recovering, just trying to survive one more difficult season. But beneath all the excuses, beneath all the delays, beneath all the logic that tries to make compromise sound harmless, the truth has remained alive inside you. God has been signaling you. He has been interrupting patterns. He has been closing doors you wanted left open. He has been making certain things uncomfortable because comfort in the wrong place can become a trap. You are not weak because you need this warning. You are chosen because heaven still speaks to you before the damage becomes permanent. There are people who no longer pause when conviction touches them. There are people who have silenced the inner stirring so many times that they cannot recognize mercy when it arrives. But you are still feeling the pull. You are still sensing the tension. You are still able to hear the difference between pressure and peace. That matters more than you know. It means your heart has not gone cold. It means your spirit is not deadened. It means God is dealing with you as someone marked for purpose, not abandoned to confusion. The enemy wants you to treat small compromises as harmless. He wants you to call spiritual exhaustion maturity. He wants you to call numbness peace. He wants you to believe that because the consequence has not shown up yet, the danger must not be real. But delay is not approval. Silence is not permission. And a season of warning is not a sign that nothing is wrong. Very often it is proof that mercy is still standing at the door, refusing to leave you alone. That is what this moment is. Mercy has stepped in front of you. Mercy has interrupted your momentum. Mercy has raised its voice before regret gets the final word. You know there have been choices around you that look easier than obedience. There have been conversations you almost entered, decisions you almost sealed, attachments you almost justified, reactions you almost released, habits you almost crowned as part of your personality when they were really chains trying to become permanent. God is saying stop before it is too late, because what grows quietly can still take down something precious. A crack in a wall does not shout at first, yet if it is ignored long enough, the whole structure begins to carry stress it was never designed to hold. In the same way, one tolerated lie can open a gate. One repeated compromise can numb discernment. One stubborn step in the wrong direction can drag your peace somewhere it does not belong. And still, even now, this is not a message of doom. It is a message of rescue. It is a message for the one who is still reachable. The fact that this stirring is meeting you means heaven has not moved on from you. God has not crossed your name out. He has not withdrawn the call. He has not decided that your disobedience, your fear, your weariness, or your confusion is the end of your story. He is confronting you because He intends to preserve you. He is exposing what is dangerous because your life carries value. He is resisting your self-destruction because your future still contains assignment. healing, and authority that darkness would love to stop before it begins. So do not treat this warning casually. Do not scroll past your own rescue. Do not dismiss the tightening in your chest that tells you truth is near. Some messages comfort you. Some messages congratulate you. Some messages simply inspire you for an hour. But then there are moments like this. Moments that draw a line in the dust and say you cannot keep walking half awake. You cannot keep negotiating with what God has already told you to release. You cannot keep dressing delay in spiritual language when deep down you know it is disobedience. You cannot keep offering your destiny to distractions that were never sent to build you. This is the moment to come into agreement with what your spirit has been whispering all along. This is the moment to let honesty rise higher than pride. This is the moment to admit that some things must stop now, not later. Not when the consequences arrive, not when another sign appears, not when it becomes easier to but now, while the voice of God is still reaching you with clarity, and as a sign that your spirit is receiving this warning. Comment 555 below only once, not for performance, but as a personal witness that you choose obedience over drift. Because you are not here to slowly dim your light until you become easy for darkness to manage. You are not here to keep surviving cycles that heaven has already given you power to break. You are not here to confuse being tolerated by people with being led by God. You are here because your life is meant to carry weight in the Spirit. You are here because what is on you cannot be wasted on confusion forever. You are here because there is still time to stop. Still time to turn. Still time to listen. Still time to obey before what was preventable becomes painful. So hear this clearly. Chosen one. God is not merely interrupting you. He is protecting what is still alive in you. He is protecting your clarity, your calling, your peace, your future, and the part of you that still trembles when truth speaks. Let that trembling become your turning point. Let this warning become your mercy. Let this stop become the beginning of your rescue. What you do next matters. And heaven is watching with urgency because your next step does not only affect today, it touches everything that follows. Beloved chosen one. This is where you begin to understand that being set apart has never felt comfortable while it is happening. It rarely feels glorious in the middle of it. Most of the time, it feels confusing. It feels like being misunderstood in rooms where you tried to be sincere. It feels like carrying something inside you that other people cannot name. So they reduce it, mock it, or resist it. You have lived with that tension. You have felt what it is like to walk into spaces and sense that your presence shifts something, even when you say very little. You have wondered why your heart could not fully settle into what seemed easy for everyone else. The answer is not that you are broken. The answer is that you were never meant to blend in. This is where the story of Joseph begins to move quietly beside your own. Joseph was not separated because life was easy on him. He was separated because God placed something on him before the world around him knew how to honor it. There was a dream over his life before there was evidence. There was purpose over his life before there was position. There was a calling over his life before there was character recognition from anybody around him. And that is often how divine distinction works. Heaven marks you before people understand you. God begins a work in you before your environment knows how to respond to it. That is why being chosen can feel lonely before it feels powerful. Joseph did not ask to be the one with the dream. He did not invent the stirring that made him different. He simply carried what was given to him. And that very difference became the reason he was resisted. The people closest to him did not celebrate what God was revealing. They reacted to it. They resented it. They treated the evidence of his future like a threat to their comfort. You have tasted that kind of reaction in your own life. Not everyone has hated you because of something you did wrong. Some resisted you because your direction exposed their stagnation. Some withdrew from you because your conviction irritated their compromise. Some misunderstood you because the call on your life could not fit inside their expectations. That pain can tempt you to shrink yourself. It can tempt you to become quieter than your assignment, smaller than your faith, more agreeable than your spirit can endure. But when God says stop, one of the things He is stopping is your slow surrender to the need to be accepted by the wrong people. He is stopping your habit of trimming truth until others feel comfortable around your light. He is stopping the version of you that keeps apologizing for carrying spiritual weight. You were not formed to disappear into the background. You were formed to carry something that demands surrender, discipline, and trust. Joseph learned very early that being chosen does not protect you from betrayal. In many ways, it reveals it. When his brothers threw him into the pit, they were not just attacking a person, they were reacting to a future they could not control. That is what spiritual hostility often looks like. It does not always appear with dramatic language. Sometimes it appears as exclusion, dismissal, false judgment, or calculated cruelty. Sometimes it appears as being pushed down precisely because someone senses there is something on your life that will rise. The pit was real, but the pit was not permission to give up on the dream. It was a dark place, but it was not the end of divine intention. This matters for you now because some of what wounded you has tempted you to misread your whole life. You have looked at rejection and wondered whether you imagined your calling. You have looked at delay and wondered whether heaven changed its mind. You have looked at painful isolation and wondered whether being different was just another name for being abandoned. But Joseph's life speaks gently into that lie and breaks it apart. The mark of God on your life does not mean every door opens immediately. Sometimes it means certain doors close because they are too small for what you carry. Sometimes it means the people who cannot walk with your future leave before your future arrives. Scripture says, "But the Lord was with Joseph," Genesis chapter 39, verse 2. That one truth changes the meaning of every hidden season. It means the pit did not cancel presence. It means the separation did not remove favor. It means the pain did not prove abandonment. And it means your present confusion cannot overrule what God has spoken over your life. The Lord was with Joseph in the house, in the betrayal, in the false accusation, in the waiting, and in the places where no applause existed. In the same way, the Lord has been with you in moments that looked empty to everyone else. So when God says stop before it is too late, He is also saying stop interpreting your difference as failure. Stop calling your holy discomfort a flaw. Stop assuming that because the road has been painful, the destination must be wrong. Joseph's story does not begin with a throne. It begins with tension, misunderstanding, and the burden of carrying something sacred before its time. Your story may feel like that now. You may be standing in the chapter where the dream is real but the evidence is absent, where the calling is alive but the surroundings feel hostile, where your spirit knows you are set apart but your emotions are still catching up. Do not rush to erase what God is shaping. Do not throw away your distinction just because it has been expensive. The ache of being different is often the early sign that heaven is writing a life that cannot be explained by ordinary terms. Joseph had to live through seasons that did not match the promise, yet the promise was still moving. And now your own soul is being invited to see this clearly. You are not lost because you do not fit. You are not forgotten because the process is slow. You are not outside the will of God because being chosen has come with weight. You are being taught to recognize that divine separation is not rejection. It is preparation with a cost. It is consecration with pressure. It is the beginning of a path where God trains you to rely on His presence more than human approval. And once you understand that, you stop begging to belong in places that were never assigned to hold your future. By now, you can feel that being chosen is not a title that floats above pain. It is something you carry through pain. That is why so many of your deepest battles have happened in silence, in rooms where nobody saw the tears, in hours when your face looked calm but your spirit felt stretched thin. People often notice the strength you show in public, but they do not understand the private cost of remaining upright when everything inside you wants relief. They do not hear the prayers you whisper when your faith is tired. They do not see the restraint it takes not to react in anger, not to surrender to despair, not to become cold after being disappointed again and again. Yet heaven sees all of it. God has counted every silent surrender, every hidden act of obedience, every time you chose not to become what wounded you. Joseph knew those silent battles well. After the pit came slavery. After the dream came humiliation. After the sense of divine purpose came a season that looked nothing like favor to the natural eye. Imagine what that does to the human heart. Imagine carrying the memory of something God showed you, then waking up in a place where your life seems to be controlled by other people. Imagine trying to remain faithful while your circumstances appear to mock the promise. That kind of conflict does not only test your patience, it tests your identity. It forces the question of whether you still know who God is when your surroundings do not reflect what He said. That is where many chosen ones fight their hardest battles. Not on visible stages, but in the hidden chambers of thought, memory, and endurance. You know what it is like to wake up and feel the pressure of another day you did not ask to carry. You know what it is like to hold yourself together while wondering how much longer this shaping season will last. You know what it is like to be strong for everyone else and then sit alone with the ache of your own unanswered questions. The world sees composure and calls you resilient. God sees the warfare underneath it and calls you steadfast. Joseph served faithfully in Potiphar's house, and that matters because it reveals a mystery many people resist. Your hidden battle is not wasted just because it is hidden. The training God does in private becomes the foundation of what He can trust with public weight later. Joseph did not become trustworthy when the spotlight arrived. He was becoming trustworthy when nobody applauded him. He was learning discipline while still carrying disappointment. He was learning excellence in a place he never planned to be. He was learning how to keep his soul from rotting in resentment. That kind of formation is costly, but it is holy. You are in that kind of formation more often than you realize. There are battles you have fought simply to keep your heart clean. There are temptations you have resisted that nobody will ever write down. There are moments when you could have chosen revenge, bitterness, compromise, or self-destruction, and instead you chose restraint. That choice may have looked small to the world, but it was enormous in the spirit. Every silent no to darkness is part of your becoming. Every hidden act of obedience is building strength that will hold you when larger doors open. There is also another kind of silent battle, the battle against the lie that your unseen suffering means your life is stalled. That lie is dangerous because it persuades you to despise the very season that is deepening you. Joseph could have decided that because he was unseen, he was forgotten. He could have let disappointment turn into carelessness. He could have treated his pain as permission to stop honoring God. But he kept living as though God's presence still mattered. even when his circumstances gave him no comfort. That is one of the purest signs of spiritual maturity. You continue in truth when applause disappears. You keep your integrity when reward is delayed. You remain tender before God while carrying a life that would have made many others cynical. And let this settle in your spirit. The battles no one clapped for may become the very reason your future can stand. The nights of weeping, the days of confusion, the seasons of being overlooked, the constant effort not to fall apart, none of that is meaningless. Heaven does not measure as people measure. God does not only study visible outcomes, He studies what your soul becomes while you wait. He sees whether pressure turns you toward Him or away from Him. He sees whether pain hardens you or humbles you. He sees whether your loneliness becomes rebellion or prayer. These unseen moments are not empty spaces in your story. They are the places where strength is forged quietly. That is why you should not underestimate your own journey. You may feel tired, but tired is not defeated. You may feel bruised, but bruised is not broken beyond use. You may feel hidden, but hidden is not abandoned. There is a holy difference between being buried and being planted, and many chosen ones misread the soil around them because it is dark. Joseph's life teaches you that darkness around you does not mean darkness within you. God can be doing His deepest work where no audience exists. And because messages like this travel farther through hearts that need them, let your response be as gentle as the message itself. If this is speaking to your hidden battles, let it breathe beyond your own screen. A quiet like, a thoughtful share. And a simple subscription can place this word in front of someone who is fighting to stay faithful in private. And for those who wish to help support the continuation of messages like this, there is also a way to give through the description. None of that replaces obedience, but it can become a small act of partnership in carrying hope where it is needed. So keep going, chosen one, not with loud striving, but with steady endurance. Keep guarding your heart, keep honoring God in the unseen places. Keep believing that your silent battles are not signs of divine absence, but part of divine preparation. Joseph's story did not collapse in hiddenness. It was strengthened there. And your own life, even now, is being shaped in ways that will only make sense when the season changes, and you finally see what your secret obedience was building all along. What makes this season so difficult is that not every warning arrives with thunder. Some warnings come as hesitation. Some come as a door that will not open no matter how hard you push. Some come as a restlessness in your spirit when everything on the surface appears acceptable. Some come as delay, inconvenience, redirection, or the repeated feeling that you are being restrained from stepping fully into something you thought you wanted. This is where many people become impatient with God, because they mistake interruption for denial. But the truth is often far more merciful. There are moments when heaven blocks your movement, because you are approaching something that would injure your clarity if you entered too soon or too blindly. Joseph knew this kind of restraint in a deeply personal way. In Potiphar's house, he was no longer in the pit, but he was still not in the promise as he had imagined it. He had responsibility. He had trust. He had visible progress. From the outside, it may have looked like life was finally stabilizing. Yet even in that place, another danger rose quietly. And it did not arrive looking like obvious destruction. It came dressed as opportunity. It came with the pull of immediate pleasure, immediate advantage, immediate escape. That is how many dangerous moments appear. They do not always announce themselves as evil. They often present themselves as relief. For Joseph, the temptation was not only moral, it was spiritual. It was a test of whether pain had made him hungry for shortcuts. It was a test of whether disappointment had weakened his boundaries. It was a test of whether being far from home, far from recognition, and far from visible fulfillment had made him vulnerable to the lie that one compromise could not matter very much. But what Joseph understood was something every chosen one must eventually learn. A wrong door can still look open. An offered opportunity can still be poison. A moment that feels exciting can still carry consequences far heavier than the thrill it promises. You have faced moments like that, perhaps more than once. Not necessarily in the same form but in the same spiritual pattern. You have stood near decisions that seemed harmless enough to others, while your spirit felt the warning before your mind could explain it. You have seen how easy it is to justify what gives temporary comfort when your soul has been tired for a long time. You have felt the pull to settle, to bend, to allow one small breach in your convictions because you were weary of carrying so much weight with so little visible reward. And that is exactly why this message matters. God does not always say stop because the thing before you is dramatic. Sometimes he says stop because the thing before you is subtle, and subtle dangers often do the deepest damage. Joseph's refusal was powerful because it came before the consequence, not after it. He did not wait until everything collapsed to discover obedience. He stopped before it was too late. He recognized that the real battle was not about a single moment. It was about what kind of man he was becoming when no one would have defended him, when no one from his past was present, and when the easier path was right in front of him. That is spiritual maturity. It is not merely sorrow after a fall. It is discernment before a fall. This is where the Lord has been dealing with you as well. The warnings you have felt are not signs that God is trying to keep good from you. They are signs that He is trying to preserve what is sacred in you. There are things you cannot afford to lose, even if others lose them casually. There is a level of clarity attached to your calling that compromise would cloud. There is a tenderness in your spirit that repeated disobedience would harden. There is a future assignment on your life that requires a cleaner yes than the world around you will ever understand. So when God creates discomfort around a tempting path, do not call that cruelty. Call it mercy with wisdom. And notice something else about Joseph's story. His obedience did not produce instant reward. In fact, it seemed to make life harder. False accusation followed righteousness. Prison followed restraint. The consequence of doing right looked, for a while, worse than the comfort of doing wrong. That reality shakes many people because they expect obedience to be immediately explained by pleasant outcomes. But heaven is not shallow. God's protection is not measured by whether the next hour feels easy. Sometimes protection looks like preserving your soul even while your circumstances become more painful for a season. Joseph lost convenience, but he kept alignment. He lost appearance, but he kept integrity. He lost comfort, but he did not lose himself. That may be where you are standing now. You may have obeyed and still found yourself in confusion. You may have said no to what was wrong and still entered a difficult chapter. You may have chosen the narrow way and wondered why the road became lonelier afterward. Do not misread that. A harder chapter after obedience does not mean you heard God incorrectly. Sometimes it means you have been kept from a deeper ruin you cannot yet see. Sometimes the prison that follows obedience is still safer than the palace that would have followed compromise. So let this settle deeply. Not every closed feeling is loss. Not every delay is punishment. Not every interruption is an attack. some of what has frustrated you has actually protected your focus, your peace, your future, and your relationship with God. What you call restriction, heaven may call rescue. What you call confusion, heaven may call concealment until the right time. Joseph could not see all that his restraint was preserving, but later his whole life would testify that one protected decision can redirect generations. And before we move deeper back into this spiritual journey, there is one practical note for those who feel mentally exhausted, foggy, overstretched, or in need of support for focus and calm in daily life. Some people have found help through a digital audio product called the Genius Wave or Genius Song, which is presented as a short daily brainwave entrainment listening experience designed to support focus, clarity, creativity, learning, stress relief, and mental sharpness in just a few minutes a day, with claims of a one-time purchase and a refund policy. If that interests you, check the official information only through the description or the pinned comment. Be careful with fake copies, and use only the official source if you decide to try it. Now bring your attention back to the deeper truth, because no tool can replace discernment, and no product can do the inner work that obedience before God is meant to do. There comes a point in the life of a chosen one when the warning is no longer about obvious temptation, but about a line in the soul that cannot be crossed again without cost. This is the place where repeated compromise begins to dim discernment, where constant delay in obedience starts to harden what was once tender, and where a person can slowly become blind to what God once made unmistakably clear. That is why this message grows more serious here. God is not only saying stop because danger exists. He is saying stop because there are certain patterns that become harder to break each time they are embraced. There are choices that do not only affect the moment, they shape your hearing, or they shape your appetite. They shape what kind of person you are becoming when no one else is looking. Joseph's story moves into that territory with unusual force. After he refused what was wrong, he was falsely accused and thrown into prison. Now think about the pressure of that moment. He had done what was right, yet his circumstances looked worse than before. His obedience did not earn immediate vindication. It led him into a deeper, hidden place. This is where many people begin to crack. They tell themselves that righteousness is too expensive, that purity costs too much, that compromise would have been easier to survive. They begin to resent the very standard that once protected them. They flirt with the thought that if suffering comes either way, then perhaps holiness is not worth guarding with such seriousness. But Joseph did not let injustice rewrite his nature. That is one of the most astonishing parts of his story. Prison could have become the place where his soul soured beyond repair. It could have become the place where bitterness taught him to stop caring. It could have become the place where he justified anger, corruption, and spiritual numbness. Yet he remained himself before God. He remained aligned. He did not let a painful chapter persuade him to cross the inner line that would have damaged his relationship with the Lord more than chains ever could. This is deeply relevant to you, because one of the most dangerous moments in spiritual life is not always the first temptation. Sometimes it is the season after obedience feels costly. It is the hour when you look at your sacrifice and wonder whether it mattered. It is the stretch of road where your prayers seem delayed, your faith feels strained, and your reward is nowhere in sight. In those moments, the enemy whispers that you have earned the right to lower your standards. He whispers that your disappointment justifies rebellion. He whispers that because life has been unfair, you no longer need to guard your heart with the same vigilance. That is the line God is warning you about now. Do not cross it. Do not let pain educate you into disobedience. Do not let delay convince you that compromise is harmless. Do not let sorrow become a teacher greater than the Spirit of God. When a chosen one starts to make a home out of resentment, the damage is rarely immediate on the outside. It begins inside. Prayer becomes dull. Conviction becomes easier to ignore. Discernment weakens. What once grieved you begins to seem manageable. What once felt clearly wrong begins to look negotiable. That is how blindness grows. Not all at once, but by repeated resistance to light. Joseph teaches you another way. In prison, he still served. In confinement, he still paid attention. In limitation, he still used what God had placed within him. He interpreted dreams there. He remained sensitive there. He remained useful there. That means the prison did not own his identity. His environment was restricted, but his spirit was not surrendered. He did not allow repeated disappointment to train him into spiritual passivity. That is a word for you now. The place you are in may be narrow, but your soul does not have to shrink with it. The chapter may be painful, but your sensitivity to God does not have to die there. Scripture says, the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love. Genesis chapter 39, verse 21. This is not a small verse, it is a lifeline. It means that even in the place where Joseph was misunderstood, God was still near. Even in the place where his name was mishandled, God's love remained steady. Even in the place where his reward was delayed, divine presence did not withdraw. That same truth stands over your life. The steadfast love of God is not limited to obvious seasons of success. It reaches into prison chapters. It reaches into disappointment. It reaches into those weary hours when you fear that your obedience has only made the road harder. So hear the warning with love inside it. God is not scolding you from a distance. He is protecting your sight. He knows what repeated compromise would do to your spirit. He knows what cynicism would slowly steal from your calling. He knows how easy it would be for the pain of waiting to shape your heart into something more closed, more suspicious, more numb. That is why he calls you back now. That is why he says stop before it is too late. Stop before frustration becomes permission. Stop before disappointment becomes identity. Stop before anger becomes your inner language. Joseph did not become powerful because he avoided suffering. He became trustworthy because suffering did not own him. He remained close to God in the very place where many would have drifted. He stayed open where others would have shut down. He kept his inward life from crossing the line into corruption. And in that hidden faithfulness, something immense was being formed. The prison was not only a place of confinement, it was a place where character was being sealed. It was a place where the future ruler was learning how to stand under pressure without losing tenderness before God. That is what this season can become for you as well. Not a graveyard for hope, but a furnace for integrity. Not the chapter where your spirit goes blind, but the chapter where your sight grows sharper because you refuse to cross the line that pain tried to push you toward. So keep watch over your heart. Guard what still responds to truth. Protect the part of you that still trembles when God speaks. The warning is serious because your future is serious. And the God who was with Joseph in prison is with you now, preserving your soul from the one kind of loss you truly cannot afford. The loss of spiritual sight. By this point, you may already understand something that once confused you. The resistance around your life is not always random. Some battles have followed you with such persistence because there is something on you that disturbs darkness. That does not mean you are meant to become obsessed with the enemy or frightened by every hard moment. It means you must stop interpreting unusual resistance as proof that you are insignificant. In many cases, the opposite is true. The pressure has been intense because your life is not empty. Your presence carries consequence. Your obedience carries consequence. Your recovery carries consequence. The light God has placed within you does not merely comfort you. It exposes what prefers shadows. Joseph's life makes this plain without needing dramatic language. Look at the pattern. He receives a dream, and hostility rises. He refuses compromise, and false accusation rises. He remains faithful in prison, and still he is forgotten for a time. Over and over, the pressure around him seems to increase whenever integrity becomes clearer. Why is that? Because darkness does not only react to where you are, it reacts to what you are becoming. The kingdom of darkness can often tolerate a distracted person, a bitter person, a numb person, or a compromising person much more easily than a consecrated person who remains aligned under pressure. Joseph was dangerous to darkness long before he looked powerful to people. That may explain more of your life than you realize. There were seasons when you thought you were just unlucky, seasons when doors shut strangely, seasons when misunderstandings multiplied, seasons when people turned cold without clear reason, seasons when your mind felt assaulted right after moments of clarity, seasons when you tried to move toward peace, only to find an unusual heaviness pressing back against you. Not every difficulty is spiritual warfare in the dramatic sense people sometimes imagine, but some of the repeated, targeted, exhausting pressure in your life has been connected to the fact that your obedience matters. Darkness studies patterns. It looks for exhaustion. It looks for discouragement. It looks for wounded areas that can be turned into agreements. It looks for moments when a chosen one becomes tired of being different and decides to lower the wall just a little. Joseph faced that kind of pressure not simply through one event, but through a long sequence of events designed to wear down the soul. Betrayal could have done it. Slavery could have done it. Seduction could have done it. False accusation could have done it. Delay could have done it. Forgetting could have done it. Yet beneath all of those attacks, Joseph kept something alive that darkness wanted dead. He kept his agreement with God. That is the part many people overlook. The greatest victory is not always visible escape. Sometimes it is inner refusal. It is the decision not to become twisted by what has happened to you. It is the refusal to agree with lies that say you are abandoned, cursed, finished, or too damaged to be used. It is the quiet but fierce determination to stay tender before God when everything around you tries to make you harsh. Darkness fears that kind of person, because that kind of person cannot be permanently manipulated by pain. And this is where you need to see yourself accurately. Your light is not arrogance. Your discernment is not weirdness. Your holy discomfort around certain people, places, mob, and patterns is not always overthinking. Sometimes it is spiritual intelligence. Sometimes your spirit is recognizing what your natural mind has not yet processed. Sometimes the reason you cannot relax in certain environments is because something in you knows it was not designed to feed there. Joseph did not survive by losing discernment. He survived by keeping it. He learned how to remain awake inside situations that could have made him spiritually dull. You are being invited into that same alertness now. Not fear, not paranoia. Alertness. There is a difference. Fear magnifies darkness. Alertness magnifies obedience. Fear makes you look everywhere except to God. Alertness keeps your eyes open while your heart stays anchored in Him. Joseph's strength did not come from obsessing over the schemes against him. It came from remaining aligned with the presence that was greater than every scheme. That is why darkness could delay him, wound him, and oppose him, but it could not own his future. Perhaps that is the word your spirit most needs here. Opposition is not ownership. Attack is not authority. Delay is not defeat. What has come against you may have made noise, but it does not hold the final word unless you surrender your agreement with God. Joseph did not need to understand every reason for every painful chapter in order to remain faithful through them. He needed to remember who was with him. He needed to remember that God's hand was not absent simply because the season was severe, and so do you. There is also another side to this truth. The more clearly you realize that your life carries spiritual weight, the less casually you can treat your habits, thoughts, and agreements. A person who knows they are called begins to guard their gates differently. They become more careful with what they repeat, what they watch, what they normalize, and what they allow to keep speaking inside them. They do not become rigid for appearance. They become watchful because they understand that light must be protected if it is going to burn clearly in dark places. So do not be discouraged by the fact that the battle has been real. Let it teach you what your life is worth in the Spirit. Let it remind you that your story has not been ordinary because your assignment is not ordinary. And if this word is helping you stay awake and steady, let it move outward with grace. A simple like, a thoughtful share, and a quiet subscription can help this message reach another soul that is fighting unseen pressure. And for those who feel led to help support the continued release of messages like this, there is also a giving option in the description. These are small, outward acts, but they can become part of carrying light farther than one moment alone. Keep your spirit clear, chosen one. Keep your inner life anchored. Keep refusing every lie that tries to redefine you by opposition alone. Darkness may have noticed you, but that is not the deepest truth about you. The deepest truth is that God has kept you, marked you, and remained with you through every attack that should have broken you. That is why you are still here. That is why your light still burns. And that is why what came against you has not been able to erase what heaven has written over your life. By now, you can begin to see that many of the delays in your life were not empty pauses. They were not proof that God had turned away. They were not evidence that your prayers had fallen into silence without answer. They were often mercy in disguise, holding you back from rooms you were not yet ready to enter, from decisions that would have crushed your peace, and from timing that looked desirable but would have been dangerous if it had arrived too early. This is one of the hardest truths for a chosen one to accept, because delay can feel insulting when your heart is ready for relief. It can feel like punishment when you are desperate for movement. But mercy does not always arrive as immediate rescue. Sometimes mercy restrains. Sometimes mercy hides. Sometimes mercy slows your life down so that your soul is preserved for what is truly ahead. Joseph lived inside that mystery for years. There is no way around how severe it was. He had dreams from God, yet those dreams did not immediately lead him into honor. They led him into betrayal, servitude, false accusation, confinement, and then another layer of waiting when the cupbearer forgot him. It is hard enough to suffer. It is even harder to suffer while carrying a promise. The human heart wants some visible sign that the pain is building towards something meaningful. But Joseph often had no such sign. He had presence, yes, but presence does not always explain timing. He had glimpses, yes, but glimpses do not remove the ache of long waiting. And still, through all of it, mercy was at work in ways Joseph could not yet measure. Consider this carefully. Had Joseph risen too early? before his character was deepened by restraint, stewardship, suffering, and prison silence. What kind of ruler would he have become? Had he been lifted before betrayal exposed the human heart? Would he have carried wisdom with the same depth? Had he entered power before learning to endure false judgment without collapsing? Would he have known how to carry authority without being ruled by ego? Delay was not wasting him. Delay was curing him of shallowness. Delay was building the inner architecture required for the weight of his future. What felt like abandonment was often preparation so exact that only heaven could have designed it. This speaks directly into your own life. There have been things you begged God to accelerate: relationships, opportunities, open doors, answers, vindication, healing, visibility, restoration. You asked for movement because the stillness hurt. You asked for change because the waiting was exhausting. And some of those requests were sincere and understandable. But now, looking back over certain seasons, you may already sense that if some doors had opened when you wanted them to, they would not have blessed you in the way you imagined. Some would have fed your impatience. Some would have intensified your immaturity. Some would have tied you to people and places that could not sustain the future God intended. That is why mercy sometimes says not yet. Not because your longing is evil, but because your timing is incomplete. Not because God delights in withholding, but because he sees what your current emotions cannot fully grasp. Joseph could not have known, in the prison years, that the waiting itself was part of what made the eventual elevation safe. The dream was true, but the road to it required hidden preparation. In the same way, your own delays may have protected you from success that arrived before your soul was ready to hold it. There is another side to mercy holding you back. Sometimes what feels like delay is also protection from unseen collapse in others. Had Joseph been released by human convenience at the wrong time, he might simply have walked free into an ordinary life. But God's timing was connected to a greater rescue. Not only for Joseph, but for nations and generations. The same prison that felt like confinement became the place from which he was lifted at the exact hour his gift was needed in a way no man could have manufactured. That means mercy was not only preserving Joseph, mercy was preserving the meaning of his life. This is why you must be careful not to despise what feels slow. A delayed answer can still be a loving answer. A restrained season can still be a guided season. A shut door can still be a hand of protection. The chosen often suffer because they measure timing by relief, while God measures timing by readiness, alignment, and impact. You want escape from pain, and God wants the full preservation of your calling. You want movement now, and God wants the kind of future that will not destroy you when it arrives. Mercy is wiser than urgency. Scripture says he has made everything beautiful in its time. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 11. That verse does not deny the existence of waiting, it sanctifies it. It reminds you that beauty is not merely about the final arrival. It is about the precision of time in the hands of God. Joseph's story became beautiful not because every chapter felt beautiful while he was living it, but because divine timing gathered the broken pieces into a purpose larger than the pain. What looked delayed was actually being arranged. So hear this gently. Some of the prayers you thought were ignored were being held in wise hands. Some of the frustrations you called barriers were actually guards at the edge of your future. Some of the tears you shed over slowness were shed in seasons where God was quietly preserving you from becoming visible before you were healed enough, humble enough, and formed enough to carry what visibility demands. Mercy was holding you back, not to torment you, but to keep you from arriving too soon and losing what only maturity can sustain. Joseph could not see all of that from inside the waiting room of his own life, and you may not see all of it from inside yours, but the pattern remains. God's mercy often works beneath your understanding before it becomes visible to your memory. One day you call it delay. Later you call it wisdom. One day you call it loss. Later you call it rescue. One day you cry because the door did not open. Later you thank God that it stayed shut until the right hour. So do not curse the restraint. Do not mock the pauses. Do not assume that slowness means absence. Mercy may be standing in front of what you demanded, shielding you from timing that would have wounded you. The same God who stayed with Joseph in the pit, in the house, and in the prison is staying with you in the places where life feels held back. And when the hour is right, you will understand that what looked like limitation was one of the purest forms of love you have ever received. There comes a moment when the call of God stops feeling like a distant idea and becomes an urgent demand for decision. That is where you are now in this message. The time for vague conviction is passing. The time for half obedience is narrowing. The time for telling yourself that you will change later, pray later, surrender later, stop later, return later, forgive later, release later, and listen later is running out. This is not said to frighten you into panic, but to wake you into clarity. There are seasons when God speaks softly because He is nurturing growth. And there are seasons when He speaks sharply because drift has become dangerous. This is one of those moments. This is your wake-up call. Joseph knew what it meant to stand at a turning point where one moment could open the next chapter of his life. After years of hiddenness, years of pressure, years of discipline, and years of wondering when the promise would move, the day came when he was suddenly summoned from prison. He could not have predicted the exact morning. He could not have forced the timing. He could not have manipulated the call. But when the moment arrived, he had to be ready. That is the part many people miss. Divine timing is God's work, but readiness is yours. Joseph had spent years being shaped in secret so that when the hour came, he would not stumble under the weight of it. That is the tension reaching you now. Some of you have spent so long asking God for change that you have not considered what it means to be truly ready when change arrives. You have longed for release, but release without repentance can still ruin you. You have longed for elevation, but elevation without inner cleansing can expose fractures you have not dealt with. You have longed for breakthrough, but breakthrough without surrender can place power into hands that are still divided. God is not merely trying to get you somewhere new. He is trying to make sure that when the new thing comes, you enter it awake. Joseph did not walk into Pharaoh's presence as a bitter, chaotic, spiritually numb man. He came with clarity. He came with humility. He came with the kind of inner steadiness that can only be formed through long obedience. Imagine the significance of that moment. The one who had been betrayed, sold, accused, imprisoned, and forgotten now stood before power. And the years behind him had not destroyed the gift within him. That is what this wake-up call is about. God is speaking now because He will not allow you to sleep through the final lessons of preparation and then blame the future for what unreadiness destroys. You may feel that in your spirit as you listen. There are things you already know must end. There are patterns you already know cannot be carried into the next season. There are excuses that once comforted you, but now sound empty even in your own ears. There are wounds you have used to justify your distance from God, but deep down you know those wounds were never meant to become permanent residents. There are attachments, distractions, habits, resentments, and secret compromises that feel increasingly heavy because grace is no longer allowing you to call them small. That heaviness is not rejection, it is invitation. It is the mercy of God making your chains uncomfortable before they become destiny-shaping. This is the final wake-up call because repeated warning creates responsibility. Once you see clearly, you cannot honestly return to pretending. Once truth has found you, neutrality becomes a decision in itself. Joseph's hour before Pharaoh was not the moment to begin developing character. It was the moment when character already formed became visible. In the same way, there are moments approaching in your life that will reveal what you have done with God's warnings. They will reveal whether you treated conviction as inconvenience or as rescue. They will reveal whether you let pain make you sleepy or let pain drive you closer to the one who was trying to preserve you all along. Scripture said, "Awake, O sleeper, and arise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you." Ephesians chapter 5, verse 14. That verse is not only for the openly lost, it is also for the drifting believer, the weary chosen one. The soul that has begun to settle into compromise while still speaking the language of faith. Awake means stop making peace with what is draining life from you. Awake means stop decorating your chains with spiritual words. Awake means stop calling delay wisdom when it is really fear. Awake means stop waiting for a louder sign when God has already spoken enough for obedience to begin. Joseph's life shows you that one awakened response can reposition everything. He answered with wisdom. He answered with honesty. He answered with dependence on God rather than self-promotion. He did not waste his moment trying to impress Pharaoh with ego. He pointed upward. He remained aligned. That is what makes a person ready for sudden transition. Readiness is not noise, it is inner order. It is the fruit of a life that has allowed God to cut away what would have made public elevation dangerous. So let this message do its work deeply. Let it shake loose the sleep that has settled over your discernment. Let it expose the places where you have delayed too long. Let it confront every part of you that keeps saying tomorrow while heaven is saying now. And as your own act of response, comment, "Wake me, Lord." Let it be brief, but let it be true. Not as performance, not as habit, but as a witness that your spirit is choosing light over drift and readiness over excuses. Because what is ahead of you is too weighty to enter half asleep. The next chapter cannot be carried by the version of you that keeps negotiating with compromise. Joseph's prison season did not last forever, but the transition out of it required a man who had learned to hear God clearly and stand cleanly when the hour arrived. Your own transition will ask the same of you. This is why the call is urgent. This is why the voice is strong. This is why mercy is pressing so hard against your hesitation. Awaken now, chosen one. Not when life feels easier. Not when everyone understands you. Not when you have one more sign. Awaken now while grace is still speaking with warmth and warning at the same time. Awaken now while your heart still recognizes truth. Awaken now before what could have been surrendered in peace must be broken through pain. This is your wake-up call, and it carries more love than your fear can yet understand. And now the turning begins to reveal its true meaning. What God has been asking of you was never only about what you needed to leave behind. It was also about what you were being prepared to carry. The stop was not the end of your story. The warning was not the final word. The stripping, the delay, the hiddenness, the heartbreak, the confusion, and the long seasons of restraint were all serving something larger than survival. They were moving you toward a moment when you would no longer merely endure your calling from a distance, but step into it with clarity, humility, and authority. This is where the chosen one begins to understand that surrender is not loss. It is alignment. And alignment is what makes true authority safe. Joseph's life rises here with breathtaking force. After the years of being misunderstood, after the pit, after the house of servitude, after the false accusation, after the prison, after being forgotten, he stands in the place that once seemed impossible. He stands before Pharaoh, not as a shattered remnant of what he might have been, but as a man whose inner life has been made ready through fire. The power of that moment is not merely that Joseph is elevated, it is that he is elevated without being deformed by the process that preceded it. He has not become proud because of pain. He has not become vindictive because of betrayal. He has not become careless because of delay. He has not become godless because of suffering. The crown that begins to rest on his life does not crush him, because the hidden years taught him how to bow before God before he ever stood before kings. That is the invitation before you now. Step into your crown does not mean step into vanity, performance, or self-worship. It means receive the authority that comes from being rightly ordered under God. It means stop running from the weight heaven designed you to carry. It means stop speaking about your calling as though it belongs to someone else. It means stop shrinking to fit the comfort of people who were never assigned to understand your destiny. There is a version of your life that only becomes possible when you finally agree with what God has been forming in secret. There is a holy authority that only rests well on the soul that has been broken of rebellion, purified by waiting, and steadied by obedience. Joseph did not seize authority by force. He was entrusted with it. That is the difference between human ambition and divine appointment. Ambition climbs for visibility. Appointment receives responsibility. Ambition wants the outer symbol. Appointment understands the inner cost. By the time Joseph was placed over Egypt, the role was not a fantasy. It was a burden and a stewardship. His wisdom would affect nations. His discernment would preserve lives. His restraint would matter far beyond his own comfort. That is what crowns really are in the kingdom of God. They are not ornaments for the ego. They are responsibilities for the surrendered. And now you must hear this personally. What God is calling you into may not look exactly like what you once imagined, but it will require the same inner posture. He is calling you to stand where fear no longer dictates your next step. He is calling you to carry influence without contamination. He is calling you to speak with truth without becoming harsh. He is calling you to hold blessing without worshiping it. He is calling you to lead from healing rather than from hunger. The old version of you, the one still bargaining with compromise, still clinging to old wounds as excuses, still looking sideways for permission to obey, cannot wear this crown well. That is why the process has been so intense. God has not only been preparing a place for you, He has been preparing you for the place. This is where many chosen ones hesitate. They know how to survive hardship, but they do not yet know how to embrace authority. They are familiar with weeping, waiting, praying, enduring, and being overlooked. But when the moment comes to rise, they suddenly feel unworthy, uncertain, or afraid of being seen. Joseph could have let the memory of the pit define him forever. He could have let prison language shape his identity even after the door opened. He could have stood before Pharaoh as a victim of his past rather than a vessel of God's wisdom. But he did not. He let God rename the meaning of his journey through the authority of the present moment. That is what must happen in you as well. You must stop introducing yourself to your future through the wounds of your past. You must stop assuming that because you came through darkness, You are forever disqualified from carrying light boldly. You must stop wearing hidden shame as though it were humility. True humility does not deny what God has placed on your life. True humility receives it with reverence and uses it in service. Joseph did not pretend he had no gift. He simply refused to worship himself because of it. He pointed to God, and in doing so, he became a trustworthy carrier of power. Scripture says, "Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will exalt you." James chapter 4, verse 10. That verse is the pattern of Joseph's entire ascent. He is humbled by life, but he also chooses humility before God. And in due time, exaltation comes not as self-invention, but as divine placement. The same pattern stands before you now. Bow low and rise rightly. Surrender deeply and carry greatly. Let God establish what your flesh would only mishandle. So step into your crown now, not with noise but with agreement. Let the warning you received become the wisdom you carry. Let the delay you endured become the depth you lead from. Let the pain you survived become compassion instead of poison. Let the hidden years become the secret strength beneath your visible obedience. Joseph's story from section 2 until now has not merely been history beside you. It has been a mirror and a prophecy of pattern. The God who preserved him through every chapter did so not only to rescue one man, but to reveal how divine purpose matures a life. And that same God is dealing with you now. The stop was mercy. The process was mercy. The waiting was mercy. The correction was mercy. The breaking was mercy. Because all of it was moving you toward this sacred threshold, where you no longer merely ask to be delivered, but consent to be entrusted. This is where your spirit stands taller without becoming proud. This is where your yes becomes cleaner than your fear. This is where obedience no longer feels like a burden alone, but like the doorway into the life heaven actually intended you to live. Now you can feel the shape of this whole journey with greater clarity. What began as a warning has become an unveiling. What first sounded like a stop has revealed itself as protection, correction, mercy, and preparation all at once. You were never being halted because God wanted to diminish you. You were being halted because He refused to let you walk casually into losses that would have touched your peace, your calling, your discernment, and your future. That is the tenderness hidden inside divine interruption. God stops what He intends to save. He confronts what He intends to heal. He exposes what He refuses to let destroy the one He has marked. So now you stand at the edge of a different kind of response. No longer just fear of what might happen if you continue in the wrong direction, but holy agreement with what heaven has been trying to build in you all along. You are not leaving this message merely warned. You are leaving summoned into a cleaner yes, summoned into deeper trust, summoned into a kind of obedience that is no longer driven only by crisis, but by love. Because the highest form of surrender is not panic before consequence. It is reverence before God. That is why this final section does not end in heaviness. It ends in consecration. It ends in the quiet but powerful moment where you stop wrestling with the truth and begin yielding to it. There is a difference between being emotionally moved and being spiritually changed. Many feel stirred for a moment, then drift back into the same patterns that once exhausted them. But something stronger is being offered to you now. A seal, a settling, a holy inner decision that says you will not keep borrowing tomorrow to excuse what God told you to lay down today. You will not keep naming compromise with softer words. You will not keep protecting the very things that have been draining life from your spirit. You have come too far to remain divided. You have survived too much to now hand your future over to confusion. You have been preserved through nights that should have crushed your hope, through seasons that should have emptied your faith, through battles that should have made your heart go cold. Yet you are still here, still listening, still able to feel truth, still able to recognize the pull of God's voice. That alone is evidence of mercy. And mercy is not meant to be admired from a distance. It is meant to be received with surrender. So let this become prayer now, natural and unforced, like breath turning upward. Father, in this moment I stop running from what you have been showing me. I stop dressing hesitation in spiritual language. I stop pretending not to know what you have already made clear. Search me deeply and gently. Remove what has been corrupting my peace. Expose every pattern that has kept me half awake. Break every agreement I have made with fear, delay, compromise, bitterness, and false comfort. Wash my mind, steady my heart, restore my sensitivity to your voice. Where I have become numb, make me tender again. Where I have become proud, make me low before you again. Where I have become tired, breathe fresh strength into me. I do not want a life that only looks spiritual on the outside. I want truth in the hidden places. I want obedience that is clean. I want a heart that still trembles when you speak. Guard me from what flatters my flesh but starves my spirit. Lead me away from every path that would make me less than what you called me to be. And let my next season be marked not by confusion, but by clarity, and not by drifting, but by alignment. Not by noise, but by your presence. In every place where I once resisted you, teach me now to agree with you quickly. In every place where I almost crossed the line, thank you for stopping me. In every place where delay felt painful, thank you for preserving me. I place my future back into your hands, because it was always safer there than in my own. Amen. Stay in that spirit for a moment, because prayer is not the end of this message. It is the beginning of the life this message was trying to awaken. A prayed prayer must become a lived answer. The surrender you speak must become the path you walk. The clarity you feel must shape the decisions you make after this moment is over. That is how transformation becomes real. Not when emotion rises, but when direction changes. And as this word settles in you, let your response remain gentle but meaningful. A simple like can help this message continue reaching hearts that are standing on the same edge you once stood on. A thoughtful share can place this warning and encouragement into the path of someone who needs to hear it before their own next step. A quiet subscription helps you remain connected to future messages that strengthen your spirit and keep you anchored in truth. And for those who want to help support the continuation of this work in a practical way, there is also a way to give through the description. None of these things replace obedience, but they can become small acts of partnership in carrying light farther than one voice alone could carry it. Now hear this final truth with all the weight and all the warmth it deserves. You are not the person darkness expected you to become. You are not the final result of what tried to wound you. You are not disqualified because you were delayed. You are not forgotten because the process was long. You are not weak because you needed warning. You are loved enough to be warned, chosen enough to be corrected, and called enough to be preserved. The hand of God has not merely followed you. It has restrained you, shaped you, guarded you, and carried you toward this moment of awakening. So go forward differently. Go forward cleaner in spirit, steadier in mind, softer before God, and stronger against compromise. Go forward with gratitude for every stop that saved you, every delay that protected you, every correction that kept you from becoming blind. Go forward knowing that what almost took you out has instead become part of the testimony of how carefully God watched over your life. The warning was real. The danger was real. But the mercy of God has been more real still. And now you rise with that mercy on your life, no longer drifting, no longer bargaining, no longer asleep, but awake to the holiness of the path before you. The road ahead may still hold pressure, but now you know how to read it differently. You know that a stop can be mercy, that delay can be wisdom, that conviction can be love, and that obedience can become the doorway to peace. Let that understanding stay with you after the sound of these words fades. Return to it when confusion tries to speak louder than truth. Return to it when temptation offers a shortcut. Return to it when weariness tells you that compromise would be easier. Remember this moment and remember the God who cared enough to interrupt you. You are still being guided. You are still being formed. You are still being watched over by the one who sees the end from the beginning. Walk slowly if you must, but walk honestly. Let your spirit remain open. Let your heart remain clean. Let your life become the answer to the warning you received, and may the peace of God guard what He has awakened in you tonight.